Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be talking about Antelope Audio. Oh yeah. So as you may have known, or as you may know, I purchased an Antelope Audio Zen Go. The magic of Antelope Audio. Okay, I'm overdoing it with a Rode podcaster. Okay. Hey guys, what's going on? Massivebeatzz here, checking in, and we got a brand new test, a brand new opinion on Antelope Audio, SSL, Motu, Universal Audio. All these guys have been releasing new things. We're talking about it. I tested quite a bit. So, who has been waiting for my review? Here we go. So, anyways, guys, the cool thing about this is I really had a chance to check them out, and I'm not going to go into a Julian Krause style of review. It's really unbeatable at this point. We're getting so much testing data, and that testing data usually translates unless things are very close, and then it comes down to features, it comes down to price, it comes down to the ecosystem, it comes down to the inputs, the outputs, it comes down how usable is that device, all things that Julian is not really testing. He is a waveform numbers measurement guy that in a way has revolutioniert in German, revolutionized. Is that a word? I'm confused. I'm turning into white C. I tested the Antelope Audio, and I really was very excited to do so. Tons of amp models included, guitar amps and so forth. But for me, it was like, do I really want this to replace my Universal Audio X4 with Twin X and so forth? What changes is the amount of inputs, headphone outputs, processing power, and so forth. So I think that is the right device. I got plenty of outputs. I got plenty of all the connectivity in the digital realm, so it's expandable. You got 4 mic preamps, which I think is the right number. And so therefore it's a great device. The only thing is, why would I get out of that? Why would I not stay within? Because I looked at the numbers. I said, like, look, I'm not constantly recording 4 input sources, and I'm not constantly doing that with UAD plugins needed. I can do that after the fact. I don't need to have the best preamp already committed. Sure, that is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not an absolute need. So then when you do the math, it's about $1,800 for the box. Cool. $1,000 worth of $1,500 worth of plugins. So now we are $2,500 into an ecosystem. So then I'm looking at Antelope Audio, the Zen Go. Comes in at $500. Wow. And has 37 plugins included, guitar amps, 1 bass amp, just 1. And then if there's a special, and there was, you get another 15 preamps. I think in my case, it's Auto-Tune. That's it. Yeah, Auto-Tune was the big selling point, and then a bunch of, vintage stuff and EQs and so forth. So why did I return it? Why did I not keep this? This seems to be like the perfect replacement for an Apollo. In a way it is, in a way it isn't. So let me tell you why it is. On paper, you get everything for a fraction of the price. Excellent converters, excellent preamps, a very good headphone output, maybe not good with low impedance headphones, but I don't use those anyways. My headphones are all 160 ohms and up to 300. And it sounded excellent, very detailed, very clean, very clear, a massive improvement over SSL 2 Plus's headphone outputs. So to the point where you don't need an extra headphone amp. You can get away with it. And 2 headphone outputs. That's pretty cool as well. So who among you, ask yourselves, is super excited about Antelope Audio? Yeah? Well, that's how I felt a little bit after installing everything. I'm like, okay, these plugins are not the same quality as Universal Audio. They're good, but they're not the same quality. For one thing, they're not doing 32-bit floating point processing in there. That means if one plugin in your chain is over 0 dB, meaning clipping, there's no headroom in there to absorb that, which normally with Universal Audio, that's done pretty easily, and any DAW does that as well. But within the mixer of Antelope Audio, you have to make sure that each of your plugins is gain staged properly on the output. And that's cool. I mean, I think that's a good habit to do, but sometimes it's very painful to access these plugins. They're not that easy to access. You can't just click on it and open it like in Universal Audio. You have to click on the entire chain, click on that plugin specifically. You can't just scroll in the chain. So sometimes it's a hassle finding it. It's not resizable. The window has like an awkward design a little bit. And so you kind of want to put it away, stack it away, and then you have to adjust things. You have to pull it back up. That sounds like nitpicking, but it is a little bit breaking the workflow. Visuals are great on the plugins, but also not resizable. So they're embedded in their own rack. It reminds me a little bit of Reason. That I didn't like, but that all is no deal breaker, right? So where's the deal breaker? Well, I can tell you it's pretty simple, actually. It's the ecosystem. It is the ecosystem that I don't want to be involved with. I don't want to be involved with another company that is a server side connecting to my computer, validating my plugins every time, buying into another ecosystem. I don't think there's anything wrong with Antelope Audio. They seem to be doing fairly well. They have a lot of criticism, by the way, but once you get to know how to talk to them, they're pretty okay. I just didn't want to be in that position where I depend on that company. I'm not sure when they're going to discontinue their next, Synergy Go product. They have this track record of discontinuing things, like constantly coming up with something new and then being completely unapologetic. They are a small company. In order to support software, in order to support your customer base, there goes a lot more into than just making good hardware. And I'm just not sure about that yet. I didn't want to be caught in their ecosystem. I don't want to have their application running in my DAW constantly and being, something I have to deal with on a constant daily basis. So where is the magic? Oh yeah, we always need magic, right? We want things to be really, really, really good. We want things to be exciting. I think for guitar players, more so for guitar players, this is a great interface because you're getting a lot of guitar amps and you can customize a lot. You can eliminate the expense of buying virtual guitar amps 100%. I mean, these guitars sound good. If you can't get a good guitar sound out of these, you're having a problem. The bass, on the other hand, there's only one bass amp. It's based on an Ampeg, the classic Ampeg thing. It doesn't sound as good as, let's say, the plug-in Alliance Brainworks version. That sounds a lot fresher, a lot thicker. And so then you have to mess around with their cabinets, which aren't ideal either for bass. I'm a bass player. So then it brings you back to latency, running something in your DAW natively. All right, so on the latency, the latency is pretty standard with the Antelope Audio Zen Go, but it's not beating anybody. It's pretty standard, Mac class compliant. I think at 64, we're getting about 8.9 milliseconds or so in Logic Pro, which is about 3 milliseconds, 2.9 milliseconds with the all-new Ultralite MK5. Also, RME will have much better numbers. So it is pretty much the same as SSL 2 Plus. It's pretty much the same as Universal Audio. All the other interfaces, nothing special there because they are banking on the DSP version. They are banking on their DSP powers to drive all that and give you near zero latency. And that is true. The only thing is, what if you need to use a different plugin? If you want to use a different amp, I like Softtube Eden World Tour 800 bass amp, which is super thick and nice. I can get that in Universal Audio with DSP. I can get it natively, just Softtube. I can't get it on Antelope Audio. So then I need to deal with average latencies that the Antelope Audio is providing me. And that's just not good enough. Yeah, 8 milliseconds is fine, but is it 8 milliseconds? What if you have to raise the buffer size? What if you have to go up to 128? Which I rarely do. Again, I have to go back to what ecosystem do I want to live in. And I want to limit software that runs on top of software. I like managing things from Logic. I like to hit that direct listening, monitoring button and just deal with one mixer. I don't want to deal with a mixer on top of a mixer. You get it, right? That's why a lot of people like the SSL 2 Plus, because it's just so simple to use. There are just some shortcomings that don't make it for the ideal audio interface. It makes it a good additional audio interface, but it's certainly not the number one kit on the block that I would use as my main audio interface. The quality just isn't there. Now, if they would have made a $600 audio interface, I'm sure it would have been spectacular. Doing a $299 audio interface, I don't know. It's not cheap enough or too cheap. So it just doesn't sit in the sweet spot. Back to Antelope Audio. So if you have a lot of guitars that you want to run, a lot of amps, great. You can knock yourself out. Great interface, great headphone outputs. Everything is good. If it doesn't bug you to be in the Antelope Audio ecosystem, to be tied to them, and they're tying you to them, think what's going to happen next year. Think about updates. Think about what you might be charged for in the future. Think about how things are being discontinued. What is their track record? Not a good one. So what do people think of Antelope Audio's customer service and track record? At least that's what I'm seeing on YouTube videos and people writing their comments. Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. So does anybody contradict that? Does anybody really rave about their ecosystem? Yeah, I guess not. But things can change, and I believe that they have, okay, let's turn off the crickets. I believe that they have good intentions and they might improve, but at this point, I just didn't want to be embedded in an ecosystem. Like I got out of Universal Audio, don't see this going very far with these DSP chips. They're not lowering prices. The same chips they've been selling for 5-6 years, the same processing power. It's like you're getting an iPhone 4 in 2021 of sorts with the same processing power, and they charge you the same price. Fine, if I get an iPhone 4 in 2021, well, at least, charge me $50 instead of $500 when it came out. Same thing as technology advances. Give people more, upgrade your software. They don't upgrade anything. The ATR 102, amazing tape machine, hasn't been upgraded. It's still clunky, small looking, very blurry graphics. Not important, sure. Does it sound fantastic? Yes, it's probably my favorite. But if you don't do that, why don't you reduce the price? Why don't you change that? Why don't you look out for your customers? It's just not the Universal Audio way, and I get that. It's a completely different debate, but that's why I got out of Universal Audio, entering Antelope Audio, and they're trying to be a slightly different version of Universal Audio. They have specials, they have promotions that always change a little bit, and it's not very transparent, to be honest. The whole thing with the bridge plugin wasn't transparent. So this is a thing that ultimately made me, you know what? Let me return this for now. I might revisit it later. So what did I replace it with? I'll tell you now, we'll do that in the next video. It's going to be the Ultralite MK5. It is pretty spectacular in many ways. So until then, really appreciate you tuning in. And, as for measurements, feel free to check out Julian Krause's channel. It's really excellent for that. Again, I give the AA Zen Go a thumbs up. It's just not right for me. All right. Massivebeatzz out.